Hi, I'm David Fowler, and I want to talk for a moment about some of what's going on in our state, in our nation, about vaccine mandates and COVID and masks and all of that sort of stuff. And I want to talk on three important things. First of all, some stories that are going around about Governor Lee's Executive Order 83, what it does and what it doesn't do. There's a lot of misinformation out there about it. So I want to clarify that. Secondly, I want to talk about how we can proceed in light of the problems that we legitimately see without our hair being on fire and in a state of constant panic, not only seeing black helicopters, but the invisible ones. And then thirdly, I want to talk to Christians for just a moment about how we should see the situation differently from the rest of the world and respond to it. So first, as to the executive order, I've got the language right here in front of me. Let me read it to you. The first thing you need to understand, if you're going to understand anything about the National Guard, and what I've gotten is a couple of calls from little ladies in their 80s and 90s from an email saying that the National Guard can come to your home with their guns and they can take you out of your home and they can administer tests and shots and all kinds of things that truly would be Orwellian if they were true, but they are not. So let me put the order right in front of you from the perspective of a person who's been in state government 27 years, knows how it works, and who is a trained lawyer, able to read and understand laws. Not everybody who wants to be a policy pundit on this kind of stuff has that kind of background, and if you're not careful, you'll be misled. So let's start with what the order says. Temporary quarantine and isolation facilities may be constructed. That's paragraph 18. Now that could sound like a boogeyman right there in itself, but let's read what it says. The provisions of Tennessee Code Annotated, section 6811-202C 1 through 8 are hereby suspended. Okay, let's find out what 6811-202C 1 through 8 are about. Well, it falls in the section of the code dealing with a board created to license healthcare facilities. And it says that the department is empowered to license and regulate hospitals, recuperation centers, nursing homes, homes for the aged. It goes on and lists several others. Okay? It says that this licensing and regulation shall be, quote, accomplished through a board to be created in the manner provided in this part and such other employees as are provided for in this part. So in other words, there's a board of healthcare regulating facilities, and there is a bureaucratic quagmire you have to go through in order to open up any kind of healthcare facility in the state of Tennessee. And that can take months, sometimes years, to get your facility approved. Well, if you're in the middle of a pandemic emergency or something, well, you don't have months or years perhaps. Now, look, let's admit right up front, we already have quarantine laws. So this is not adding something new to the law. This is saying that if we get to the point that we don't have enough places to put people who need to be quarantined, we're not going to require a year or two bureaucratic morass to get a place open for us to put people who need to be quarantined. That's all it's saying. And in fact, it says facility. It defines facility. Now, this is very important because it's going to be used with respect to the National Guard, so pay attention. Facility means any institution, place, or building providing healthcare services that's required to be licensed under this chapter. Well, I hate to say, that's not some National Guard facility. That's a healthcare facility that's been licensed under that provision of the code. Okay? Now, let's move on though. Paragraph 8 deals with the National Guard. And here's what it says. That this paragraph, quote, is issued for the limited purpose of authorizing personnel, referring to the National Guard or the State Guard, to serve in certain healthcare and emergency services roles. So there's only certain things they can do. We'll need to find out what those are. For a purpose, to reduce system capacity strain resulting from COVID-19. So in other words, if the healthcare facilities and the healthcare personnel that are all required to be licensed are under strain because there's not enough to deal with COVID-19, then we're going to allow the National Guard to do certain healthcare and emergency services. Then the very next sentence says namely, so here they're spelled out. Personnel may perform authorized diagnostic testing for COVID-19 in healthcare settings, including but not limited to hospitals, emergency departments, and alternate care sites, collectively facilities. There's another provision that follows that says this: no personnel shall operate under this paragraph 8 unless designated by the Adjutant General upon request or order of the governor. So the governor's going to have to say, we now need these people. I want them designated. Tell me who's going to do it. In other words, the Adjutant General just can't go out here and decide, oh, I'm going to call up the whole National Guard and the whole State Guard. The governor has to request it. That's what it says. And they're going to have to designate who those personnel are. Now keep in mind, they can only do certain services, right? Administer tests in healthcare facilities, nursing services, and drive ambulances. But then it says this too: personnel operating pursuant to this paragraph 8 shall have the appropriate training or skills in the areas pertaining to their designations. So let's take the old World War II doughboy infantryman. He could not provide nursing care services, even if he's a part of the Army, because he doesn't have the skills that are needed to provide the nursing services where we're running short of nurses. So friends, let's stay calm here, and let's remember to read what it is that we're being told, to make sure the people that are telling us things, if they seem a little fantastic and Orwellian, well, maybe they are. I mean, maybe they're not. But if we'll go read for ourselves or find trusted sources, people with appropriate backgrounds and skills in law and state government to interpret things for us, then maybe we won't be running around with our hair on fire. And I hope you'll listen to the next 2 little videos, because we need to know how to chart a way forward under these unusual circumstances where indeed our liberties are being undermined, and how as Christians we need to think about this whole situation differently from the way we are. I hope you listen to those 2. Thanks. Bye.